Almost live from downtown Westport, it's Oh Brother, Not Another Podcast with Miggs and Trace Burroughs. Here's my NPR version. Hi, everyone. Almost live from downtown Westport, it's Oh Brother, Not Another Podcast with Miggs and Trace Burroughs. You want to try?
Yeah, you do one.
Oh, brother. Not another podcast with brothers, Miggs Burroughs and Trace Burroughs.
Yeah, so here we are with Rachel Konstantin. Teen? Are you a teen or a teen?
Constantine, no E at the end.
Oh, okay.
But it's still Constantine.
And you are, how do we know you?
Me? How do I know you? How do I know me?
You guys just keep popping up everywhere.
Well, you are Miss Ubiquitous actress, face in the crowd person. Where
How do I know you guys? I
don't know.
Well, I know you back because producing like small budget films. So you sent me your headshot. This is like 20 years ago, maybe.
20 years ago, when I would get backstage, I would send pictures and resumes to Reading, Connecticut. And that's you. And years later, I actually met this guy behind...
You had no clue who was behind the face, behind the curtain?
Yeah. Just collecting women's headshots.
Right. I just understand. So
that scheme's been working for a long time.
No, but I guess every important artistic event in Westport, we bump into each other.
You know who else I have a headshot of is Dale Allen, like when she was like 22 years old. Because I was going to give it, she knows what she looks like 20 years ago. I still have it.
I heard she used to date in college Viggo Mortensen.
Oh, really?
Remember the actor?
Yeah, he was just in that movie Green.
Yeah, right. Supposedly that was her boyfriend in college.
Oh, I'll have to ask her.
Telling tales out of school. But but you're an actress, right? Is that your...
Yes, since I was 2 years old.
Yeah, what was your first...
I was Santa Lucia in Montessori school. It was Santa Lucia Day, and I was the tallest kid in the class. So I still remember standing in the wings in my little white gown. I think we actually had real candles in a ring on my head, and I came out. I can still remember. Maybe I was 3 at that point. I started nursery school at 2. And that was my first acting job, was Santa Lucia. And then I was the queen who wouldn't smile in 5th grade with Mr. Tom Kretsch. You know Tom Kretsch?
Yeah. He's our Nick Cross's...
He put on all of our school plays at Cranberry School.
Oh, that's funny.
And again, because I was the tallest kid in the class, I was probably 5'2". Now I'm 5'10". But at that point, I was the tallest kid, so I got to be the queen. So that's how I got all of my good parts, being the tallest kid.
Yeah, I remember I only acted one. I think it was 3rd grade. We did a play on Peru, and I was Lima, Peru. I mean,
you were a city?
Yeah, I was a city. So I had to speak, say what our agriculture was. Anyway, I totally froze and ran off stage.
Oh,
I never did anything. But you have. Trace has, right?
Yeah, I mean, my first thing is at Saugatuck Elementary minstrel show. We didn't wear blackface, but I was this is back, and kids protested.
Yeah.
All the activist 10-year-olds, and they had picket signs in the front. They said this is not right, which was cool because no one had a clue. I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. I was 10 years old, and the teachers didn't either, for that matter. And anyhow, I was the interlocutor, which is I guess like the MC, and I was just like, we didn't wear blackface. We didn't talk with like a fake Southern,
Thank goodness, because it would come back to haunt you.
Yeah, when I went for president.
Let's leave that alone.
So what other, can we drop some names or some movies or TV shows you've been in? Or
some of the favorite actors I've worked with.
Oh, yeah, really? Yeah.
Well, James Gandolfini, he was so sweet. This big guy, I don't know what he was.
Were you in Sopranos, or was it another?
I was a stand-in on the show The Sopranos, but then we did a small independent film down in the New Jersey shore, and I just remember what was he, 250 pounds, 6'6" or something. He comes up, "Hi, I'm Jim," and I was, I know who you are. Oh, he was just so sweet and lovely, and except when his ex-wife would call, then he would take his cell phone and smash it to the ground. But he was nice, and his son Michael, He was there on the set. I think they're now going to be doing a Sopranos.
Oh, really? Like a
Sopranos what?
prequel?
Yes, it'll be a prequel,
Oh.
and I believe starring Michael, James Gandolfini's son,
Oh, cool.
playing Tony.
I love that show, so I can't wait to see that.
So he was one of the nicest people. And then Pierce Brosnan, James Bond.
Yeah.
He was amazing. We did another independent film. A lot of these guys will do films for very little money if they know the playwright, if they know this, screenplay writer,
Yeah.
or the director, or it was one of their old acting teachers. So those are the most fun projects to work on. Very low budget, and it's all character driven. So he was absolutely wonderful.
Who's the worst person
Yeah.
you ever had to?
I can't say it because then I'll never be
Well,
able to
maybe
work with them
Or
again.
you could describe them kind of generally.
Oh,
you
the
know.
initials are JL.
So it's a guy,
A girl.
a man, or a woman.
JL.
Perhaps J Lo.
Okay.
So
I,
that's just one.
yeah.
The men all tend to be very nice.
Yeah. Oh, that's a tree.
Oh, Robin Williams was wonderful. He was so sweet.
Yeah. Is he as manic off? I mean,
Well, he was very entertaining. We
Yeah.
didn't know. Guy didn't know all of his emotional or mental problems. We just were entertained by his comedy. We'd be in the middle of doing a movie, and he would just break into comedy, improv, just spur of the moment.
Yeah.
So he was fun to be around.
didn't I see? Were you with me when I went to visit you in Venice, and we went to the Comedy Store,
Yeah.
and it was Richard. I mean, this was an all-star.
This is just like out of the blue.
yeah, Richard Pryor and Robin Williams.
Robin Williams
and Jeff Altman.
and Jeff Altman and so so they just it was amazing. I mean,
To see them, yeah.
Richard Pryor, it was like the headline, and Robin Williams was
and this
for
is
him, believe it or
and this
not.
is early '80s.
Yeah,
'cause it was my.
it was so funny. Richard Pryor live. I don't know. I just remember it being like
Yeah, it was-
super funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
But Pierce Brosnan, I had given him a book my father wrote called The Red Boyhood, Growing Up Under Stalin.
Oh.
And he read the book. He stops production on the film we're doing. They said, Pierce needs to speak with Rachel. So they find me. He wrote a beautiful letter on his own letterhead to my father, telling him how much he appreciated the book, how much he
nice.
enjoyed reading it. And my father's 90 now, and a huge James Bond fan. Oh my God! So I came home with a letter from James Bond. He was just so sweet and kind, and I said to him, we were going to do a scene. I said, "Do you need help running your lines?" Oh no, Rachel, I'm fine with this. But I did have a martini with James Bond.
He did.
We were doing a film in Brooklyn, and he got fed up. It was another low budget independent film, and he just didn't have the patience for what was going on. So he wandered off to a little bar. I don't know where in Brooklyn we were, some dark street. Goes in, and I decided, well, I'm off work by this point. So I went into the bar, sat down next to him. Of course, I had to order a martini. Shaken, not stirred. Is it shaken,
Yeah, I
not
think
stirred?
so.
Yeah.
And then I said, I think I'll have another one. He said, knock yourself out. And then I offered him some money, and he said, oh, I've got plenty of money. I thought I would offer to pay for
Yeah,
my drinks.
right.
He said,
That's polite.
I've got plenty of money, Rachel. So there are some fun, it's usually behind the scenes fun stories with people.
Yeah.
That's what's most rewarding.
Were you ever on Law and Order? Did you ever do it?
Oh,
I'm a total addict, and I'm
Oh,
just so
God.
curious about how. Well, I knew a guy, David Rogers. Did you know him? He lived in Westport.
Yes, of course.
He's been on a few Law and Order. He's since died.
because Dulcie, I was good friends with
oh, really?
Dulcie at
Okay.
the Westport Playhouse.
But it was so disturbing because I think in both episodes he was on, he was shot. He was murdered. And he was a Jew.
Oh.
He played a jeweler who was held up by a drug addict, and he's just there's David, and this guy pulls out a gun and shoots him, and then one day I had a meeting, a committee meeting, and David Rogers was in the committee. I said, David, this is really difficult. I just saw you get murdered last night. This is really hard to.
Oh, it's awful. I was with the Nishans last night, and the daughter said, Rachel, I was watching a movie, Sinister, and there you are, hanging from a tree. Oh. She said, it was horrible. I said, no, that was my stunt double. She said, but it was still your character. She said, it was just so sad to see you. First you're in the garden, and then you're at a picnic, and then you're hanging in a tree. So it is,
But do they rehearse? Does Law and Order rehearse at all, or they throw you out into a street, into a situation like in a bar? Because they all use real places, right? Like bars or hotels.
Yeah.
Or
Well, there's also a soundstage at
okay.
Chelsea Pier.
Oh, okay.
I've worked on all 3 Law and Orders.
Oh,
And the original one was wonderful. Those actors.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember the original guy. Yeah,
Um,
I can't think of their names right now.
but yeah, so I played judge, juror, and then a criminal. And we were shooting, this was Special Victims Unit, shooting in New Jersey. The director took one look at me and he just cracked up. He's like, with that face, he's like, you look like a cherub. You look like he said, you just do not look like a hardened criminal. Go play a nurse or something. It just didn't go over. But that was pretty funny.
but do they? I mean, again, what is their kind of prep for it, or you just sort of rehearse, remember your lines, and then you're just thrown out there and do it once or twice, or how does?
No, each scene is shot about 30 times.
Oh, is it really a lot?
They do that
Yeah.
much, really?
Yeah, they'll run through the scene
Yeah.
for the blocking, then the stand-ins will come in for the lighting and
Yeah,
all that,
yeah.
and then they'll go finish memorizing their lines. You should talk to Scott Bryce if you want to talk
Oh, okay.
to an actor who's probably worked on Law and Order more than anyone, and many other shows.
So
and
for
movies.
those kind of shows, or even a film, like, okay, you have the scenes, and they're all over the place because they have to do all that prep work. So do people just memorize their lines for that? They don't like read the whole script when they get the script. Like, you're going to be in this. Like even the lead primary actors, they don't memorize the whole script, do they? Or do they just go in and go, okay, I'm next. I'll review the paragraph I have to say or whatever.
I don't know. I think with the soap operas, they would memorize the next day's. They would go in and shoot the next day. So I think they would go home with the script and then pretty much learn the entire script the night before.
Yeah.
But
They used to have prompters on soap operas, and then they took them away. At least the one I was this extra. I was a policeman on One Life to Live, but that was the thing. They said it's our last day that you can look at prompters. So while they're reading the prompters, while they're acting,
Yeah.
it's right behind them.
Oh, on Saturday Night Live they do that.
Oh yeah.
You can see they're not even looking at the person they're talking to.
Oh yeah.
But there's so many, so many rewrites, and that's.
Yeah. And so you can see it, and it's a sketch comedy show, so it's kind of almost part of the.
Yeah, the crack-ups are almost better.
Yeah.
Bill Hader, there's a whole, I watched the other day, there's a whole reel of Bill Hader's crack-ups, because he can't, and they said that whole, Stefan, that whole character
yeah.
was doing this, that all, where he puts his hands over his face and he looks all kind of coy and everything. He said that was started because he kept cracking up and he had to cover his mouth.
Oh, so it was.
So it became part of his character,
That was very funny. But by the time you finish shooting one scene, you've memorized everyone's part. When I worked on Sex and the City, the 4 girls would sit there, and they would shoot it from every single angle. So, a 2-minute conversation may take 10 hours to shoot.
Oh my God.
Because they do the whole thing in a week, right? Pretty much?
A couple
It's
of weeks.
amazing. Oh, okay. So did they get an insight? Did they get along at all? Do they all hate each other? I mean, the general thing is that they all hated they all hated what's her name? The star.
I don't know. They didn't talk about that.
Oh, okay.
But Sarah Jessica Parker, she was
Yeah,
so
she's
lovely,
the star, yeah.
sweet,
Yeah.
lovely. She was always singing, and she was
Yeah.
really adorable. So she was another one of the. Oh, she was wonderful. And Angelica Houston, what a class act she
yeah.
is. I was her photo double and stand-in because I'm the same
yeah.
height and
Oh.
coloring. She wrote a beautiful thank you note to me. She gave me a gift at the end of the. And I was
Boy, how nice.
I was just
Yeah,
her
yeah.
stand-in just to take the time.
Is she still alive?
Yes, Angelica Houston.
Yeah.
She was a wonderful, lovely lady. So they don't all have, terrible reputations.
Right. Yeah.
Well, that's nice. Trace said some. What's your closest? I know David Letterman used to have a segment called "Brush with Fame" or something.
Yeah.
What was your closest, or maybe brush with fame, or with some celebrity or interaction? You've had a lot.
When you look in the mirror every day.
You've had a lot.
I've had so many brushes. It's insane.
And don't say sitting here next to me.
The British rock group, the Animals, wanted to beat me up once.
Oh,
That's pretty good.
beat you up.
Because I said I didn't like Ringo as a drummer, and I was at the Marquee Club, where it's the famous Marquee
yeah.
Club, and so So the club owner took a liking to me, and these guys really, one guy, they were so angry. One guy had me up against the wall. I don't know which one it was of the animals. It wasn't Eric Burden. He wasn't there, but the other guys were there. And the other guy says, "He's a Yank. Leave him alone." So that was that. I don't know. I chased Jimi Hendrix's manager down the street to tell him that I was the drumming version of Jimi Hendrix.
Did you catch him? Did you catch him? And
Yes.
him? Yeah.
First he was very like, "Don't get away," and he finally gave in. "Okay, come to my office tomorrow," And so he had this huge office. I mean, it was like
This Chaz Chandler.
Chaz Chandler, who also was the bass player in the Animals, and discovered Hendrix. And I did my pitch about that I'm the Jimmy. I felt so weird saying it because I knew that was so ridiculous, but I had I'm the Jimi Hendrix of drumming. He got so angry at me. He says, "If you ever use my name with yours, I'll castrate you."
Yeah, and we use that in a quote.
Yeah, I told that to Miggs, and he goes, "Oh, I'm going to make a poster of that." So it was me holding drumsticks, and it says, "Chaz Chandler says, I'll castrate you." And then I put it up, only marquee in all the clubs were the rock bands, small, groupies, everyone. It was just two streets. So I put it up on the poles and the walls, and a couple of people had seen it. They thought it was all over London, because that's the only place they ever went, were these two streets, Nothing ever became. I thought maybe he was gonna get really pissed at me, but he probably never saw it. I don't know.
Oh, funny. I was just thinking something about the brothers. How I've known each of you independently for about 20 years and did not know you were brothers.
Yeah, that seems to be a common impression.
But I'm looking at you both now. Do you realize you're dressed identically?
Yes, I know.
Oh, that's funny. No, I didn't.
You both happen to
But we
show
don't
up.
look. People always say you don't look. We don't. I don't. We used to. I think we used to talk about being. We thought we were adopted or something.
Switched in the hospital or something?
Because people would say you don't look like your. Which parent do you look like? And they couldn't figure it out. I don't know.
But isn't that crazy? I knew you both, but I had no idea you were related.
Yeah. Most people just surprised Miggs as a brother. They don't even never heard of me. Which I kind of feel a little indignant because, hey, I grew up in this town, but I haven't been here for 35 years.
Yeah, so you haven't been as visible. That's all. And he had a much more illustrious early career than I ever did. I mean, he was on national TV and a game show, and
Really?
Interviewed by David Frost. Remember David Frost interviewed Nixon?
Yeah.
Well, his next interview was Trace Burroughs. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's true.
Wow, I never knew this. And what game show were you on?
Oh, well, it was Video Village. And Monty Hall, who did Make a Deal, was the MC, also Jack Nards. So, I was in the audience, filled out cards. My mother helped me because I was just 10 years old. And they called us up. A lot of coming back in interviews. And I got on, and I ended up being the biggest winner they ever had. And then because I was a kid and I was good on that show, they called me up, said, "Do you want to go on another show? You don't have to audition. Just come on the show." So it was called Make a Face. And it was this thing where the wheel... a barrel was divided in three parts, cartoon faces, all the nose, the eyes, the mouth, and you had to match them up 1, 2, 7 makes a face. So I was with a girl, and I was horrible at it, and she would have won. But at the end of the show, the MC, who I can't remember his name, says, "Well, this is our last show," which I didn't know, "and we're going off the air. So I'm giving both of you the grand prize." So I won more money and a ping pong table and encyclopedias.
Trucks used to pull up.
Yeah.
I was so envious. Trucks from Macy's and then Gimbals at the time would pull up to our house, and guys would unload these. They had forklifts bringing things into the house.
Really?
I mean, it was
Really?
endless stream of prizes and toys and
money. I lived on that till I was about 20. Of course, things were cheaper back then. But
I didn't. This may be a false memory, but I thought at one point the producer, they liked you so much that they wanted to make a TV show about you or around you, and Dad wouldn't go for
well,
it.
I'm so glad I didn't know about it. No, I didn't know.
He was
that.
too suspicious of the financials.
I know
he didn't
that-
want to sign anything.
My mom wanted me to be an actor, and my Dad was against it.
Yeah, maybe that was
And she
it,
took
yeah.
me to some audition. I was so oblivious to acting. I didn't know how to do that. And I was with Jill Schwartz, and it was a commercial. And I was just, I didn't know how to emote. I wasn't into acting. It was her idea. She wanted me to be an actor or a celebrity or something. So that didn't work out. And then I was on a third show, and I had an audition for it called Yours for a Song, where basically they would read parts of a song lyric. I was so stupid, it was unbelievable. And I was in they had mostly adults, so they're trying out kids, and I was one of the kids.
How old were you?
maybe I was 11 now, like a year later. So this is the words. I shouldn't even admit to this, but it's Rob, what's that song that Robert Ronke's bobbing along?
Oh yeah, Rob,
What's that?
Something the
Red Robin goes bobbing along. So they go, the Red Robin goes bob. And what's the next thing? And I couldn't figure it out. And they gave me like 3 chances. And I just froze. I said, I don't know. So after the 3rd chance, I said, okay. And that wasn't the end of my game show career. Though when I went to California, there was a couple. I did get another game show in my 20s, Crosswits, and the woman from the Addams Family, Carolyn Jones, was my celebrity partner. Even though I saw the answers in advance, they had them on the side. I tried to memorize them, but I was so like my heart pumping and all that stuff that when it came to me, I just couldn't remember what I saw, and I won like a big bag of nail polish.
Were you ever on a game show? Did you ever do that?
No, I've never been.
Oh.
I'd like to go on Name That Tune. Do you remember Name That Tune?
Yeah, I can name that tune
That
in
was so
3
much fun.
notes or 10 notes or
I love that.
Oh, but you were on To Tell the Truth.
Right, To Tell the Truth. Yeah.
He was an imposter on
I was
To Tell
an
the Truth.
imposter. I was supposed to be a guy who sang in his bathtub and broke the Guinness Book record. Who I connected with like last year. I was looking for the tape or something, and he's a really respected doctor and professor in Manhattan, and we talked for a couple of minutes on the phone, and that was it.
Oh, but how did you get a talk show at 10 years old?
Well, I was watching...
Not a talk show, game show.
Game show. I was watching television, and I thought to myself, Jesus, I'd like to go on that. This is so basic. I showed someday. My mother goes, well, it's your birthday, and we usually went into New York a lot to do stuff. So what do you want to do? I said, I want to go see that show, Video Village. And so she took me in, and then from there they passed out cards.
Yeah, they passed out cards in the audience. Never worked for me, but...
Wow.
Well, she filled out most of it, but the big joke was that, we just going to California with my Aunt Rose, which Aunt Rose, people say pronounce it like, so when the question was, so what'd you do? I went to California with my Aunt Rose. And they go, is she really an aunt? Real corny comedy.
Oh, God.
So what's any things to look for? Where can we see you and your past, present? Where can people look to?
All the Hallmark Christmas shows.
Oh, really?
They've been filming a lot of Hallmark TV shows here in Connecticut. There's something called Synthetic Cinema.
What's that? Is that
They're a production company.
Oh, that's the name of a production company?
Synthetic Cinema. And it's one of the few productions that is still in Connecticut. They had the tax incentive taken away several years ago. We used to have Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. Everyone was in Connecticut filming.
Yeah, they shot stuff in Reading. I remember.
It was wonderful. So for some reason, this Hallmark show, the Hallmark Christmas specials, are shot in scenic Connecticut, up in Stonington and Norwich and New London. And
Would you usually cast that? I mean, are you have a typical kind of casting, whatever, personality?
Well, I was telling someone, I said, I live in a Hallmark movie. And they said, Rachel, you are a Hallmark Christmas movie. You don't live in a Hallmark Christmas movie. You are a Hallmark Christmas movie. And I did just take the Christmas tree down March 7th.
Right.
So I guess it's true.
Yeah.
But what other things?
Have you ever worn prosthetics? Is that the right word?
I haven't.
No elaborate,
No, and it's no fun playing a body either. That's
have you been a dead body on Law and Order?
This was a movie, Sinister, with Ethan Hawke.
Oh yeah.
It was so scary even to shoot that I can't even watch the film.
Oh. To see
even
yourself.
though it's make believe.
Yeah, too creepy. Yeah.
These are still frightening films. So it's always fun to do a Hallmark Christmas movie where everyone has to be happy. It's fun. And then I'm on the board of directors at Westport Community Theater, a little local gem, which so many people don't even know about.
Yeah, I used to apprentice there in high school. I mean, it was. It was.
Is it still at the Westport at Town Hall?
At Town Hall, but when I go to the Chamber of Commerce events, I'll give out a couple of tickets as a raffle. Local people have never heard.
I've never seen any ad. I
used
to be on their newsletter, and I never see ads or Facebook posts about it.
Oh,
I guess I have to get a newsletter, reinstate my address if I want to get notices.
Do you act in them too?
No, I'm just on the play
board.
selection committee and board of directors, and we're trying very hard to make sure this theater lasts.
Well, it's the last, like I said, high school, so it's been around for at least 60 years, 50 or 60 years.
Yeah, we have so many hidden gems hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
Have you ever acted in any of the productions there?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you might have just asked that. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No, but we're auditioning if you like to audition for anything.
I was in a couple of things, but luckily I got to read. It was a reading, so you got to carry the script
I couldn't
around.
memorize. Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
that would be horrible to have to memorize. So we got to do the thing, and I was, hold the scripts, and I was like a lead character it was about your father, not connecting with your father and all this kind of stuff. Remember, Mom came to see me,
Oh,
and
did
she
she?
walked out in the middle of it. I was
Oh,
thinking,
that's
was
supportive, yeah.
Isn't that so weird?
Yeah.
And I never questioned. I don't know if I asked her. I was so like, what? It was not offensive or anything. Maybe she thought it was about her or something.
Parents job to sit through the worst thing you're doing.
And I was like, what? And I saw that while I was doing the thing. So she walks out. I tried to concentrate.
You auditioned?
No, I was actually doing it.
You saw her walk out.
Yeah, well,
while
I'm
you're-
doing performing.
Oh.
Like I'm reading this thing and I'm the guy and
Yeah.
I'm looking up at her every once in a while to see her reaction. And then she gets up and walks out. Never wanted. It was weird.
When I was an apprentice at the Westport Playhouse, also in high school, they had an apprentice showcase, and all the apprentices got to act.
Oh.
And I had to do it, and I'd never acted. And they invited Broadway, like Bosley Crowther, I think was his name. I mean, the New York Times theater critic, and all these theater critics from the major newspapers. And that was the big to-do, and the full house. And I think there was like 6 one-act plays, and I was in one of them, and it was just a 2-character play. I have no memory of it except I don't know. I don't even know if I spoke. I just can't. It was so frightening, the whole experience.
Love the Westport Country Playhouse.
You didn't you do like you were an apprentice or a sound effects person at that theater at Nash's Barn where Sandy Barron, who became the guy on Seinfeld. What was his character's name?
It was Morty or something from.
He had the pen.
Oh,
and
the crazy pen.
He was a friend of Seinfeld's parents.
Yeah, it was one of the first improvisational theaters. It was called The Premise. I think it was a spin-off of Second City. So I was also in high school, and it was behind Nash's Pond, in the barn at Nash's Pond, and
Where's that?
right down the street here behind
Oh.
Michael Bolton's house. Michael Bolton's house was
They used,
on
to
Nash's
have, they used to
Pond.
have skating there.
Yeah, there was an ice house, an old
Oh.
ice house, and it turned into this tiny little theater, and it was so great. And there was 4 characters, and Sandy Barron was one. He actually played Lenny Bruce on Broadway. And then there was a guy named Peter Bonners who went on to direct all of Bob Newhart's shows.
Oh, yeah.
And the women there was an actress called Marcy Hubert, and I can't remember the other one. I don't think much became of them, but they were nobody then. But they had these great, it was one of those things where they'd ask, have you ever done improv where they ask for words from the audience?
Oh, yeah,
Name a
that's fun.
place, name a thing, name a thing.
Yeah.
You can do that?
Yeah, that's really fun.
Is it?
With Cliff Pia. Do you remember Al Pia?
Cliff,
I know
sure.
Cliff,
So
yeah.
Al Pia was the drama teacher at Staples.
Right.
Uh-huh.
I took some of my first classes with him. But Cliff Pia, we used to do the Palace Production Center in Norwalk, and we did comedy improv. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That's really fun.
Yeah, I guess when it works, it must be really
I did
thrilling.
improv once and it was exciting, and then I made some bad choices. And It was like dead silence. Like, I was so embarrassed. But it was, I was getting all like, hubris. I'm so good. I'm gonna, they love that last thing I did, and now I'm gonna do this thing. And it was. I made a couple of bad choices, but it was fun. I mean, generally, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
To make up stuff.
Okay, well, we've made up this whole half hour, so that's the end of Oh Brother, not another podcast.
Not another ending to another.
With Rachel Konstantin. Thank you. Any last words? Any promos or
Promos.
Come to the Westport Community Theater. Come support our local theater.
Come up to the pop-up opening
Oh, when is the pop-up opening?
on Wednesday.
Oh yeah, well nobody will hear this long after that. But yeah, the pop-up at the Westport Playhouse, the Artists Collective of Westport is now partnering with the Westport Playhouse.
Yay!
We're doing this for the library. So till next time.
You got a lot of stuff.
Bye.